Hey everyone, this is Amanda Moore from the Angelman Syndrome Foundation, and you're listening to the ASF podcast, the show that explains everything you want to know about Angelman syndrome. We're so excited you're here, and we hope you enjoy the show. Thank you guys all for joining us back here at the Angelman Syndrome Foundation podcast. I am incredibly excited to be joined by two amazing moms in our community tonight. As we are thinking through podcast topics, one of the ones that really came up that spoke to my heart was having a conversation with individuals in our community that are walking this journey as either single parents or doing it on their own or whatever that outcome has been. But I have two amazing moms with me tonight who, in my opinion, are incredibly strong, resilient, and playing the role of not only mom, but playing the role as overall caregiver for their loved one with Angelman syndrome and their siblings. So I want to welcome Felicia and Kira here tonight. I'm going to have you introduce yourselves first. If you can just tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about your family, and then we'll go from there. But let's start off with Kira.
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm the mom of three beautiful girls. So Maddie, my angel, is 6, and my older two daughters are 12 and 15. We live in Texas, and I'm currently serving in the Air National Guard, and I work for the Air Force full time. So yeah, we stay pretty busy as a family.
Well, thank you for your service, first of all. I didn't forget that, but I always, when I remember that you're also serving in that capacity, once again, I think of like G.I. Jane or something like that, because it's just amazing. So thank you for your service. So, and Felicia.
Hi, I'm Felicia. I have two boys, Weston, my angel, and he is 4, and then I have Warner, who is 6, and we live in Michigan. And I currently am staying home with Weston and just taking care of him.
Well, I mean, it's more than a full-time job, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm guessing Texas for sure doesn't have this. I don't know about Michigan, but some states, when you stay at home, you can be paid to be a full-time caregiver. I'm guessing that doesn't happen in Michigan or Texas.
It does not, no.
Oh, gosh. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? So Colorado definitely is one of the states. So maybe we should just all up and move to Colorado.
Yes,
so
there we go.
That, right?
I wish somebody could change that.
Yes.
Well, I will tell you, there's so many people who lobby to do that, but it makes it such a challenge. But I always tell Adam, I would love for you to stay home full time with the kids, because I think that we would be the best, people to stay home with them, and finding care, period, is a challenge. So my first question, and either one of you can go first, is we'll kind of sporadically kind of go all over the place. But since you are, walking this journey as a caregiver on your own, what does help look like for you?
So for me, my mom is my biggest helper. She does respite for us, and she comes to my house. And honestly, for her, like, Weston's very strong, as every angel is. So like, she can't help so much with Weston, but she cooks food. She cleans my house. She does my dishes. She does my laundry. She gets that weight off my shoulder. So I have one less thing to worry about besides everything else on top of me. And of course, my 6-year-old, he's a huge help as well. He does the little things like, hey, I forgot the diaper. Go grab a diaper over there. Oh, can you grab your brother's Chewy? Why is he crying? Go give him a snack. He just helps with little things, and he loves helping his brother.
Yeah, I mean, we should totally, once again, anytime I can give it up for the siblings, let's give it up for our siblings, right?
Yes,
I mean,
sure.
we'll talk about that in a minute. But so Kira, what does help look like for you?
That's been really hard, because when I moved here, my family is not from here. They're all from Oregon. I moved here when I was on active duty. And moving to another state back home is not always just an easy option. So Maddie does qualify for nursing care. So I do have a nurse that helps me, which is huge. One of the biggest problems is finding help. Mm-hmm. So even though she's allocated, so many hours filling it has been very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So in the past, if I've had somebody, maybe they're sick often or they can't come in, or then they can't fill it. So when one retired, I had about a 6-month gap where I hardly had any help. And I'm finding with the respite care kind of the same now that we're getting respite hours. I went and called so many numbers and just couldn't find someone. But right now I do have a nurse that is helping, and Maddie's in school full time, and that has also helped quite a bit. And also having supportive work environment with a little bit of flexibility, and that's really been my saving grace. And my older children.
Yeah.
For so long, I tried to, I think, protect them so they wouldn't feel resentful toward Maddie or resentful for trying to help. But then I realized, we're in this together. We're a family. We're a team. And I've gotten to also watch them grow and do more than I ever could have imagined. My oldest helps a lot. She's 15. She's the one that's ready to jump in and learn. She can help me bathe Maddie, and she knows how to do a feeding tube feed. And so there's been times like on my military weekend, she can watch Maddie for a few hours until the nurse gets here. And even my 12-year-old starting to have more interest and help me. Like you said, can you go grab me her diaper? Can you, help me with this, or watch her for, 20 minutes so I can do a few things. So really, it's just been my whole team here, and really, I almost say letting my girls step up because they want to help.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that fear though, of putting that pressure and not wanting to, put that pressure on a sibling. But I mean, the challenge of respite help, the challenge of nursing, the challenge of even finding a babysitter. Felicia, I love that your mom comes over and does the things that she can do, right? Because
yes,
same thing over here. Like my mom is fantastic, but she's aging as well. And Jackson's getting older and stronger, and she's getting older and weaker. So it's funny to watch them kind of go at each other, because I'm like, he's totally going to take you down. You're not going to win this battle.
No.
But I think it's so important to have that structure. But the reality of this is, and feel free to share what you want to share. But the reality is that there's times when you're in this on your own. And, if respite doesn't show up, nurses doesn't show up, or, a crisis happens, you are acting as everything for your family. So, I mean, in those moments, how do you cope through that? I mean, I can't imagine, and I don't have that lens to look through. And so I'm just curious on how you cope through those moments.
I mean, I think it's just like, for me, like, I've accepted it a long time ago that a lot will fall on my plate. And not to say that I don't have breakdowns at the end of the night when both kids are in bed, where you just kind of lose it. You're like, this really sucked today. And it would have been amazing to have just one other person next to me, even just to vent to them about, just like, today sucked. That would be really, really nice. But it's kind of just accepting, like, this is our life. And which I think so many Angelman parents do, is like, at some point in the acceptance process of getting the diagnosis, you have to be like, okay, like, there's gonna be hard times. And we just have to, realize, like, how do we get through it? And just like any other Angelman parent, although, we might have a little bit more to get through.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really struggle. I'm going to be honest.
Please do.
The worst times, honestly, have been like those emergencies. Maddie is being put into an ambulance, and for various reasons, and my brain's going 100 miles an hour. Okay, I've got to get to the hospital, and sometimes I ride with her, but I learned not having a car kind of sucks too. So I usually follow. But okay, I've got to plan out work, and I got my other two that will need to get to school, and they're going to be at home. And it's so hard because I feel like I'm having to choose, who am I there for and who am I not there for? And that's really hard. I'm always amazed by my oldest, how calm, cool, and collected she is. She'll go in, like, actually, like, last time Maddie was taken to the hospital, packed up my work stuff for me in case I had to work at the hospital, and got my backpack for me. And
awesome.
she's like, Mom, I got this. It's okay. And I do have good friends here. Sometimes it's hard for me to take the help that's offered, and that's
Yeah, I was going to
hard.
ask that too.
It's like, call me if you need anything, call me. But I'm like, but you have your own children and your own family. And
Right.
I've had to learn to say, hey, can my children stay there? Can you check on them? Can you take them to school in the morning? And just say thank you.
I think
Right.
that's the hardest thing for any parent to do, especially I know for me as a special needs mom, asking anyone to help, there's just this extra layer in my mind of like, are they going to be able to handle if Jackson has a breakdown,
Yes.
or if they're going to be able
Right.
to do, or can they even like give him his medication if we would want to go away for the night, or like all these things that you think
And
of.
they
But
change their diaper.
exactly. But
Let's be honest.
I don't know how many times, and maybe your friends have told you this, but one of my best friends who I've been friends with forever finally said, like, Amanda, like, it hurts me that you won't ask. Like, you're not even giving me the opportunity to help or even try. So that kind of spoke to me too, because I was just like, okay, like I've got to relent somehow and finally just ask, right?
Yeah, I think as a single parent too, like I feel like we're so used to everything being on our plate for us to give up control to anybody else, whether it be family, friends, strangers, whatever. It is so hard because we are always in control. We don't give that up to anybody else because we don't have anybody to give the control to.
That's an interesting perspective. Yeah.
And I know,
I feel like,
go through this, but we're 24 hours.
Yeah.
Even if we took a quote break, do you feel, I think you would know that, understand this, like your brain's going to constantly be going.
Yeah.
What if, and even if the person you trust them with your life, you're your child's expert. It's just hard for me. Okay, she's at school, but what if she gets sick? What if she's, X, Y, and Z? And so it's just, it's all encompassing, I feel like.
Right. And, for me, like their dad does help out 2 days, 3 days a week, but I have them the majority of the time. I have them when they go to doctor's appointments and everything like that. So even just giving up the control, even though he's their dad, I've become so used to like doing it on my own that it's hard to give up the control. Even though I know he will do what is best for them, it's still so hard to even relax on those days when they're with him, just because I'm like thinking, like you said, okay, are they getting the medicine? Are they getting this? Are they getting that? So it's hard to give up that control to anybody.
It's hard to relay information because there's just so much. From different doctors and therapists and caseworkers and social workers. It's so much. Sometimes you just kind of hold on to all of it. It is hard, I feel like, to even share that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I think that as mama bears all together, we have a hard time giving up control of anything when it comes to our kids. But yeah, it is one of those things where once again, you're playing every single role. So the key to all the knowledge and all the information lies with you, at all times. So you're right. You're never off the job, no matter what. So I'm just curious. I'm sure that this hasn't happened anytime recently, but ideally, if you had a full day off, day and night off, what does that, like, no stress, nothing, what does that look like for each of you? Ideally, like in a perfect world, no money, no restrictions. What does that look like for you?
Well, I get a massage.
Yeah. Okay.
I get a massage. I do things for myself. I would hope to say that. Let's just say I would hope to say I'd get a massage. I'd get my hair done. I'd do this. But in reality, I'm looking at my closet right now, like that needs to be cleaned. I'm looking at my bathroom, like that needs to be taken care of. That needs to be that. But I can't do all of that and be a mom to my kids. So even if I do have a full day off, which I do when they're with their dad, I'm getting stuff done.
Yeah.
I'm getting, I have full days off. but I'm getting these things done that is so much easier to do without Weston crawling at me, without Warner wanting to play with me, without all that extra stuff.
Sure. So what I'm hearing is you're for sure not getting to have any Felicia time. What about you, Kira?
That's tough. I've tried to think about it, but I think I'm just so ingrained in everything that's going on. I don't know. I probably do the same thing, a spa day, read a book, something that it's funny. I'll have a book sitting there for weeks and not be able to crack it open because there's just no time or I'm so tired, but I just would love some rest and a good book.
I was about to say, I think if I tried to read a book, I'd make it through the first page and then just pass out because
Exactly.
I'm so tired, right? I wouldn't even know what to do.
That sleep of not being on edge would be nice.
Yeah, I bet.
Like you said, like I could read one page and then I'd be asleep. For me, I'm in bed thinking about 8 million things that need to be done. Like even though I'm exhausted physically, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I won't fall asleep till 1, 2 in the morning every morning because I'm thinking about everything that still needs to get done, has to get done, what they need.
Yeah.
So I don't really have that sleep.
Same thing. I mean, Maddie's bus comes at 6:30 and that's a whole nother
oh my gosh
issue right there. It's been nice to have that service because a wheelchair and hers it's getting so heavy for me. So I was like, great. But that is one early morning. And I try to go to bed early, it never fails. Mom, remember when I said I didn't have any homework? Well, I do, and now I need help. And it's 9:30 at night. And of course, part of me is like, oh, I'm so tired. But of course, I'm going to get up and we're going to get this homework done. And it's always math. Oh, Lord. But
oh my God, I'm going to be screwed when that happens. I'm going to be screwed. Baden's going to come to me. I'll be like, I have no clue. You need to go ask Google.
YouTube is my friend. I've had to kind of learn some things because you forget.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine. I don't even want to even think about that.
Math is all new these days anyways.
Or my personal favorite, but that's not how I do it. But our teacher wants us to do it like that. Well, no, let's do it my way.
Well, I probably shouldn't say this in a podcast that is nationally broadcast, but I just don't see the need for math anymore when you have Google and you have Excel spreadsheets and all that fun stuff. So
we use Alexa for everything.
Exactly.
Warner will be like, Mom, what's this? And I was like, I don't know. Alexa.
Exactly. Hey guys, it's Amanda here. As you know, we're here for you, our community. If you have questions about any topics we can discuss in our podcast, or if you have ideas for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. All you need to do is email me at dearamanda@angelman.org. Thank you so much for listening and your continued support of the Angelman Syndrome Foundation. So I'm curious for you guys. I mean, I know that thinking into the future can sometimes be a very terrifying thing. But when you guys think about your futures, for you in particular as moms, what does that look like? What do you hope to see?
Oh, you can go first on that one.
Oh,
that's a big question.
What's hard about Maddie, what I've had with my older girls is, especially as they've gotten older and becoming more independent. And, I do, it's funny. I think about their future almost more because I'm like, okay, wow, we're going to be graduating, maybe college, weddings, grandkids, maybe, all these things that they could have. And with Maddie, I feel like there's so much unknown.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just getting day by day. And sometimes even thinking about the future still makes me really sad. And I thought eventually the grief would go away. And I don't think it does completely. I think the edges get a little softer. But, and maybe for some it does, but there are days I'm like, I'm very thankful for who she is, everything she is. And there are days I wonder who she could have been.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair and totally real. People always ask me like, you seem always very upbeat about the diagnosis. And, a part of it is the role that I play is to try to maintain positivity and support for our community. But I still have days where I grieve, and I grieve hard. And I think it's very important for us as parents to live in that moment. And once again, give ourselves grace in that moment, that it's okay. That, a great example was I was signing Baden up for his soccer league, and writing his games down. And, I always grieve that moment, because in my mind, when the boys came, I was always thinking that they would play. My husband's obsessed with soccer. So I was like, they're going to play soccer together, and we're going to go to soccer games and sit on the sideline. I'm going to be a soccer mom. And you know what I mean? Like all those things, and that it's different. And so I think it's okay, Kira, to live in that and not be ashamed of that grief is still going to come.
Yeah. And there's definitely different worries. Like, she had a massive growth spurt over the last year, and which is so good. But I do worry, and my brain starts going a million miles an hour instead of just thinking today, but how am I going to take care of her? It's so different. How am I going to be able to meet her everyday daily needs that is so different? Just being able to lift her. And change her and bathe her. And my hope as she gets older, she learns she can gain more functions. But the reality is, I just don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what's so scary about the future, is that we don't know. And, I love the Angelman pages because they give us hope, but in the same, and I kind of hate saying this, but it is what it is, in the same aspect. Sometimes I see these people with Angelman syndrome that are, they just celebrated their 18th birthday, and you don't think about that for your child on their 18th birthday as what you see. And it makes you sad, but it makes you happy at the same time, because they're happy. And, that's what we say as Angelman parents, right? Our kids are always happy, so we're always happy. But in the same sense, it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
Because I grew up with 6 brothers. Okay. And when I found out that Weston was a boy, I just thought about the fact that I get to see my boys be brothers. That's what I grew up with. That's what I see. And every once in a while, Warner, because he's 6, and he sees his friends with their brothers, playing together. And he's like, I just want to run with Weston. I just want to kick a ball with Weston. And he says these little things, and they're just they're like little daggers in your heart. Because I want to be I want that too. And I do tell him that I want that too. And you know what? He will run one day with you. He just took his first steps last week. I
was so excited for you. Oh, that's the best moment.
He hasn't taken any more steps, but he did last week.
Yeah.
And Warner was with me because he was on spring break when we found out. The therapist came by, and she goes, I'm so sorry. I'm so excited that I caught you. And she sat down, and I was like, what's up? And she goes, has Weston ever taken any unassisted steps before? And immediately I felt my eyes tearing up. And I was no. And she goes, he just took 5. And I was like, what? I was like, are you and Warner, who's sitting right next to me, 6 years old, he goes, Mom, this feels like a dream.
Oh my God. You steal my heart.
Yes. If I wasn't crying already, that would have just pushed me over the edge. And I'm like, it's gonna happen. Yeah. It's happening.
Yeah.
But so I get excited about those little things that are just they're so small.
Yeah.
But in our reality, it's so big.
Oh yeah.
And it's that's the exciting parts of the future. The unknown, that's the scary stuff. I mean, Weston's never had a seizure, but I know the reality that 80% or more of people with Angelman syndrome get epilepsy. I know that's the reality. So every time he does something a little off, or every time he does something, I'm like, is that a seizure? Is that one? And just how you were saying before, the ambulance comes and your girls are old enough that they're good. And I think I literally just thought, right as you said that, what would I do?
Yeah,
Where would I take Warner? I'd have to drop him, but my mom's 30 minutes away. My dad's 40 minutes away. I'm like, I don't know what I would do. I take him to the hospital? Like, it's these little things that you're like, because they're unknown, it's scary.
It is. And, it was harder when they were younger, a lot harder.
I can't even imagine.
I don't even know, because I was very sick with her when I was pregnant. I don't know how we got through it, honestly. I really don't. It was really hard. Yeah, the seizure thing, that's usually the issues we're having when she goes in. And it's amazing how different, even how big of a spectrum there is with Angelman syndrome. And it's hard not to compare. Jumping on another topic, we're parents, we're always like, are we doing enough? Are our kids getting good grades? But then even with our Angelman kids, but they're already walking. My kid's not walking. What am I not doing enough of? Mm-hmm. And I know for me, I had to learn that she also has her limitations, that it's not a parenting thing. It's not a therapy thing. Sometimes it's just they just aren't there yet. But it's hard to compare. Like Maddie has had seizures since she was an infant.
Well, and I think you're right. I mean, one of the number one questions that I get when new parents call me is they'll ask me, like, when will my son or daughter walk? Or when will they start feeding themselves? And my answer is always like, it's hard to tell, because it is such a spectrum. Like some of them walk early, some of them, walk much later on, and some of them may not walk at all. It's hard to pinpoint what that is. But one thing, and I'm sure you guys will agree with me on this, the one thing I've learned, especially about Jackson, is he's going to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. He is so stubborn, and I think he knows how to do quite a bit of things, but he's like, I'm not going to do that for you right now. And I just don't want to, right? I mean, I think our kids are much smarter and much capable than a lot of people give them credit for. But I also think a lot of times it is when they when they want to do it, right? But it is a spectrum, and it's really hard, especially with social media, not to constantly be grieving what your child's not doing.
Yes. Our biggest phrase of kicking Angelman syndrome. That one I do struggle with too, because I'm like, well, if she's not doing X, Y, and Z, is she?
Yeah. But I think she is.
So, in their own, yes, we have to realize they're within their own goals, their own strengths, their own timeline.
Right. I remember when Weston had his first IEP and they had his goals, and I was like, that's his goals? It's just doing this. It was something really, really simple. Yeah. And he had just got his diagnosis, and I was like, what is that? No, that's not a goal. And now I'm like, he got to
I know, right?
Good job, dude. I don't think you realize when you first get the diagnosis, all that comes with it.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. And then as you start to learn more and more, you're like, I get it now.
Yeah. Who would have ever thought as parents we would celebrate when a kid pooped? I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am when Jackson poops. I mean, when I walk into his room and I can smell a whiff, I'm always like, yes, I get to change a dirty diaper. But who would have ever thought, right? I mean, it's crazy. So So to wrap up our time, although I could talk to you guys for hours, this has been awesome. Being that you've been in this journey for a while now, and, some of us a shorter time than others, but for anyone that's listening that may be, parenting on their own, what piece of advice would you give them in this, particularly in the Angelman community, if you could?
I feel like accept the help. Accept the help. As hard as it is, give up a little control. Accept the help and give up a little bit of control, because that is the only thing that's going to keep you sane.
I like
it
that.
really is.
Yeah, I like that.
That's exactly what I would say is, I've always struggled with accepting help, and instead of saying no, just please and thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I always tell my girls, you never know who you'll meet along the way. I remember one of the best people in my life, and how we met was a neighbor, and I was getting ready to go back to work, couldn't find anyone to watch Maddie. This was prior diagnosis. And she's like, well, I could watch her for you. And I'm like, but I don't know you.
Oh,
Long story short, she has been one of the most important people in our lives. She loves Maddie like a grandchild. And actually, you know how most angels don't talk, but Maddie is never, she said a few words here and there, but one day she reached out to her and said, love you.
Oh,
And
I love that.
so sometimes I feel like I try to keep that in mind. Our journeys are, even if we don't see it today, they could still bring us so many good things, so many wonderful people we never would have met along the way. So sorry, I went off on a
No, I love that. I think
but just
No,
like
I think as well, it's ask for help as too. And I know like I'm saying help so much, but like ask for help when you need it as well. Like I'll really quickly, I wanted to get Weston a bike and a specialty bike. And through this program, it was like $5,000. And I was like, I'm going to start a fundraiser and I'm just going to, I'll start one. I'll try to raise some of the $5,000 and we'll see. And I might have to do a couple more. Within 3 days, I had raised the $5,000.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And I just had the very end, the company reach out to me and say, we will pay the balance of whatever hasn't been raised. I raised $3,700, I think, from just people on my GoFundMe. And then the company said, I'll pay the balance. And I was so amazed because I thought it was going to be a very big struggle. I almost didn't want to do it because I hate asking for help. I don't like doing it. If I can do it on my own, I just moved my California king bed by myself.
Nice. Right.
I got this.
Heavy. Yeah.
Right.
I asked the guys outside for help. And then I was like, you know what? Never mind. I got it. And I figured it out. I figured it out as we always do because we have no choice.
Right.
But, I think if you ask for help, you're going to be amazed by the people that want the messages I've gotten from people in my community, from different foundations in my community, just the people being like, you're amazing. Like, keep it up. Like you inspire me, like things like that. It matters.
Yeah, for sure.
And sorry.
No, go ahead, Kara.
My biggest, we talked offline a little bit about grace. And I think as moms, I think a lot of us were constantly feeling guilty over something. I think that's important too, is to give us grace give ourselves grace because sometimes we're just doing the best we can. And we are one person and we cannot physically, emotionally, mentally do the work of 2 or 3 people or more.
Yeah, 100%. I hope you take that advice, Kira. As we talked about, right?
It's hard because
I know, but if anything, if I just knowing both of you ladies, if anyone deserves that grace, it's you all. And so I hope that you will practice what you're telling and giving advice and doing that. And always, I always have to tell people on these podcasts, if you ever need anything, I'm speaking to everyone, but also to you, Felicia and Kara, if you guys ever need anything, please reach out to the foundation. Our goal is to be able to support people in this journey. And we know that, that we never want anyone to feel alone or feel like they are getting access to support or whatever they need for their individual with Angelman syndrome. So please reach out. But I can't thank you guys enough for being on with me today. What a joy it has been to talking with both of you. I think we're going to have a part 2 because I think we could have made this much longer. But I thank you guys for being on, and thank you for just all that you have shared with us tonight and your advice for everyone out there. We love you guys very much.
Thank you,
Amanda, for everything you do for all of us.
Well, it is my pleasure, my friend. So the next podcast will be coming soon. So listen in. But thank you, ladies, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the ASF podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support us, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating or review. And please don't forget to subscribe.